Hello, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome back to the N Podcast English Hub. This is the show where we learn English in a simple, fun, and real way. My name is David, and I'm so happy you've decided to spend some time with us today.
And I'm Ella. It is wonderful to have you here with us. Today, we are going to talk about something that every single person on this planet goes through: being in social situations. You know, those times when you are with other people, like at parties, at work meetings, or even just having dinner with friends. We're going to focus on those moments that can feel a little bit strange, awkward, or uncomfortable.
That's so true, Ella. Sometimes being social is the easiest thing in the world. You feel confident, the conversation is flowing, and you're having a great time. But other times, it can feel really, really hard. Like that feeling you get in your stomach when you have to walk into a room where you don't know anyone. Or when you find yourself talking to someone you really don't agree with and you don't know what to say. It can be very tricky.
And today, our big goal is to teach you some fantastic, useful English phrases to talk about these exact moments. We want you to feel confident when you share your own stories and when you listen to other people's stories. So instead of our usual format, we're going to try something a little different today. We're going to have a conversation, just you and me, David. And we'll use our own experiences to explain these phrases.
I love that idea. So, no separate dialogue today, just us sharing stories and explaining the language as we go. We can still make it a super long, detailed episode packed with examples and explanations, all designed for A2 to B1 learners. We will speak slowly and clearly.
Exactly. And please, everyone listening, remember this is a friendly, relaxed space. Just listen and enjoy. There is no pressure. If you don't understand something, you can always go back and listen again. There is no test at the end. So get comfortable, maybe grab a cup of tea or coffee, and let's get started.
Okay, Ella, to get us started, let's talk about that first difficult moment at any party or event. You walk in and you don't know anyone. It feels awkward. What do you do to break the ice?
That is the big question. Let's first explain that phrase. To break the ice. This is a very, very common idiom in English. It means to say or do something to make people feel comfortable and start a conversation. It's what you do at the beginning of a social situation when everyone is quiet and maybe a little nervous.
That's a great explanation. I like to imagine that the quiet, awkward feeling in a room is like a layer of ice. It's cold and hard. When you break the ice, you are the first person to make a crack in that ice. You warm up the room with friendly conversation.
Exactly. So what do I do? For me, I have a simple trick. I always look for someone else at the party who looks as uncomfortable as I feel. There is always one other person standing alone, looking at their phone or looking at the floor. I go up to them, I smile, and I say something very simple and honest, like, "Hi, I'm Ella. I don't know anyone here, do you?"
That's a great strategy. Why do you think that works so well?
I think it works almost every time because that person is usually feeling the exact same way I am. They are probably also feeling nervous and want someone to talk to. When I am honest and say, "I don't know anyone," it makes them feel comfortable. It creates a connection. We have a common feeling.
That's brilliant. You find a common feeling of being new or alone. I have a different approach. I use the food table. The food table is a wonderful place to break the ice.
The food table? Tell me more.
Well, everyone loves food. It's a safe topic. Nobody gets angry talking about food. So I'll stand near the food table and I'll say something simple to the person next to me. For example, I might say, "Wow, those little sandwiches look amazing." Or, "Have you tried this dip? Is it any good?" Talking about the food is a very safe and easy way to start a chat.
That is so smart. It's a shared experience. You are both there, looking at the same food. It's a perfect conversation starter. I remember when I started my painting class a few years ago, there were about 10 of us in the class, and nobody knew each other. On the first day, we all just sat there in silence, looking at our phones. It was so awkward. The teacher came in and said, "Okay, before we start painting, I want everyone to find a partner. In the next 2 minutes, I want you to find 3 things you have in common with your partner."
Oh, that's a great idea for a teacher to do. That's a perfect icebreaker. An icebreaker is the name for an activity or a game that helps to break the ice.
Yes, it was a brilliant icebreaker. My partner was a man named Tom. We started talking, and it was so easy. I learned that Tom and I both loved dogs. We both hated pineapple on pizza, and we had both traveled to Spain. After just 2 minutes, we were laughing. The awkward feeling in the room completely disappeared. The teacher helped us all break the ice.
That's a perfect example. It shows that breaking the ice doesn't have to be a big, scary thing. It can be a simple question or a small activity. So, for everyone listening, when you want to use this phrase, you can say, "Complimenting someone on their shirt is a nice way to break the ice." A compliment is when you say something nice about someone. For example, "I like your shirt."
That's a great example. Or you could say, "I'm always nervous at parties because I don't know how to break the ice." It's a phrase you will hear and use all the time in English. But David, what happens when you try to break the ice and it doesn't work? Or you are in a place where you just feel strange? Have you ever felt like a fish out of water?
Oh, absolutely. Many times. Let's explain this idiom first. A fish out of water. This is a wonderful idiom because the picture it creates in your mind is so clear and powerful. It means you feel very, very uncomfortable and out of place. You feel this way because you are in a situation that is completely new or strange for you.
Exactly. Just think about it. A fish belongs in the water. In the water, it can swim, it can breathe, it feels happy and at home. If you take that fish out of the water and put it on the grass, it feels completely wrong. It can't act normally, and it's in a place where it doesn't belong. That is the exact feeling this idiom describes.
So, have I ever felt that way? Yes. My biggest fish out of water moment was a few years ago. I went to a silent yoga retreat for a weekend with my sister.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this. David, you are a very talkative person. You are not a silent person.
Not at all. I love talking, but my sister loves yoga and meditation, and she asked me to go with her. I said yes. It was a big mistake. For 2 whole days, we were not allowed to speak at all. We did yoga in silence. We ate our meals in silence. We walked in the garden in silence. Everyone else there looked so calm and peaceful. They were all smiling these little quiet smiles.
And how did you feel?
I felt like I was going to explode. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to ask them, where are you from? What do you do? I wanted to tell a joke, but I couldn't. I was so deeply uncomfortable. I was the biggest fish out of water in the history of yoga. I did not belong there at all.
Ha ha. I can just imagine it. That is a perfect story for this idiom. My fish out of water moment was a little different. I went to a video game convention with my nephew. A convention is a very big event for people who share an interest.
And you don't play video games, right?
I know nothing about video games, nothing. But I love my nephew, so I went with him. David, I was surrounded by thousands of people. Many of them were dressed as video game characters. They were all speaking a different language. They were talking about leveling up and final bosses and side quests. I just walked around with my cup of coffee, smiling and nodding, pretending I understood. I felt like an alien who had landed on a strange planet. I was a true fish out of water.
That's it exactly. It's that feeling of not belonging. It's when you are in a situation where you don't understand the rules or the language. So, for our listeners, you could say, I am a terrible singer, so I felt like a fish out of water when my friends went to karaoke. Or you could say, he grew up in a big city, so he felt like a fish out of water when he visited his family on the small farm.
Okay, so let's imagine you've broken the ice and you're in a conversation. You're not a fish out of water. But then the conversation gets difficult. Have you ever been in a situation where you just don't see eye to eye with the person you're talking to?
All the time. This is a great idiom for our learners, to not see eye to eye. It's a polite and very useful way to say that you don't agree with someone. It doesn't have to mean you are angry or that you are fighting. It just means your opinions are different.
Right. Your eyes are not seeing the same thing in the same way.
Exactly. For example, my best friend Mark and I are very close. We have been friends since we were children, but we do not see eye to eye on movies. He loves big, loud action movies with lots of explosions. I love small, quiet, independent films with lots of talking. We can talk about movies for hours, but we will never agree on what makes a good movie. We just don't see eye to eye.
That's a great, simple example. It can be about small things like movies or big things like politics or money. I once had a roommate in university. Her name was Sarah. At first, we were good friends, but we soon discovered that we did not see eye to eye on one very important thing: what clean means.
Oh, that is a classic roommate problem.
It is. I like things to be very neat and tidy. I wash my dishes immediately after I eat. Sarah, she was much more relaxed about it. She would leave her dishes in the sink for days. She would leave her clothes on the floor. We were always having small disagreements because we just didn't see eye to eye on how to live in the apartment. It was a constant source of tension.
So, in those situations where you don't agree, what do? Do you argue, or do you sometimes have to bite your tongue?
Our next idiom, to bite your tongue. This is another one that creates a great picture in your mind. It means you stop yourself from saying what you really think or what you really want to say.
And why would you do that? Usually you do it for a good reason. You do it to be polite, to avoid a fight, or to avoid hurting someone's feelings.
Exactly. I have to do this a lot, especially with my family. I have a very clear memory of this. Last year, for a big holiday dinner, my aunt cooked for the whole family. She is a wonderful person, but she is not the best cook. She tried a new recipe for a turkey, and it was very, very dry. It was difficult to eat, but she was so proud of it. She brought it to the table with a big smile and said, "What do you think of the turkey? I worked on it all day."
Oh no, what did you say?
Well, I really wanted to say, "It's a bit dry, Aunt Carol," but I couldn't. I looked at her happy, proud face, and I knew the truth would make her sad. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I bit my tongue. I smiled and said, "It's delicious. You can really taste the herbs. It was a small lie to be kind."
Haha, that is a true act of love. Protecting someone's feelings is a great reason to bite your tongue. It also happens a lot at work. I had to do it just last week. My boss had a new idea for a marketing campaign. In our team meeting, he explained his idea and he was so excited. He thought it was the best idea ever.
And what did you think?
I thought it was a terrible idea. I thought it was boring, expensive, and that it would not work. My first thought was to raise my hand and say, "This is a bad idea, and here are the 10 reasons why." But I looked around the room. Everyone was listening. I knew that if I criticized him in front of everyone, it would embarrass him and make him angry. So I bit my tongue. I waited until the next day. I went to his office privately and said, "I was thinking more about the new campaign. I have a few questions, and I also have another idea that I think could be interesting." It was a much better, more respectful way to handle the disagreement.
That was very smart and professional, David. It shows that sometimes biting your tongue is the best choice for a good long-term relationship, both at home and at work. But David, let's be honest. Have you ever not bitten your tongue? Have you ever said something you immediately regretted? In other words, have you ever put your foot in your mouth?
Have I ever? I think I am an expert at this. Let's explain the phrase first. To put your foot in your mouth is the perfect phrase for saying something stupid, embarrassing, or hurtful completely by accident. The moment the words come out of your mouth, you wish you could grab them and put them back.
The image is so funny, isn't it? Like you have literally tripped and your own foot has ended up in your mouth. It perfectly describes how clumsy the mistake feels.
It does. And I have a story that is still painful to think about, even years later. It is my most memorable foot-in-mouth moment. I was at a friend's wedding. I was talking to a couple that I didn't know very well. I was just trying to be friendly and make conversation. I looked at the woman and I asked her, "So, how are your kids? I bet they're getting so big."
Oh no, David, no.
Yes. She looked at me with very sad eyes and said very quietly, "We don't have any children." Ella, the silence after she said that felt like an hour. I realized I had made a big, stupid, and hurtful assumption. I felt terrible. My face went hot and red. I just wanted to apologize and run away. I really, truly put my foot in my mouth. I still feel bad about it.
Oh, David, that is a classic example, and it is so painful. It's that horrible, hot feeling in your face when you realize your mistake. My worst one was also at a party. I was trying to be cool and interesting. I started talking to a guy who told me he was a musician. I said, "Oh, that's nice. Is it just a hobby, or do you play professionally?"
Okay, that seems like a normal question.
It does, but then he looked at me and said, "I'm the lead singer of the band, the one playing at this party right now."
Oh no, the band that you were listening to at that moment.
Yes, I had basically said that his job, his passion, was just a little hobby. I had insulted him without meaning to. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. I turned so red. I just said, "Oh, well, you guys sound great." I had put my foot in my mouth so badly. And sometimes a bad joke can feel like that too. When you tell a joke and no one laughs, we say the joke fell flat. It's another one of those moments where you wish you could disappear.
This reminds me of another difficult social situation. It's when you have to be in the same room as someone you have a bad history with. Have you ever had a job or a friendship that didn't end well? A situation where you didn't part on the best of terms?
Definitely. Let's explain that phrase, to not part on the best of terms. This is a very polite and slightly formal way to say that a relationship ended badly. Maybe you had a big fight, or there were just bad feelings when you said goodbye.
Right. It's a way to say things ended poorly without giving all the angry or sad details.
Exactly. I had a roommate in university. In our first year, we were good friends, but in our second year, we started to have problems. We fought about everything: cleaning the apartment, noise, guests, money. By the end of the year, we were not friends anymore. When we moved out of the apartment, we barely said goodbye. It was a very cold and unhappy ending. We definitely did not part on the best of terms. I haven't spoken to her since.
That's a perfect example. It's a very useful phrase because it is diplomatic. Diplomatic means you are careful with your words to avoid upsetting anyone. For example, if someone asks me about my old job where I had a very difficult boss, I don't want to say, "My boss was a monster and I hated working there." That sounds very unprofessional.
So, what do you say instead?
I say something like, "It was a great learning experience, but the company and I didn't part on the best of terms." It's a professional way to say that there was a problem, but you don't want to talk about it. It closes the subject.
That's a great tip. And when you have to see that person again, maybe at a party like Maya did, you might find yourself walking on eggshells.
Yes, walking on eggshells is our last phrase for today, and it's a fantastic one. If you are walking on eggshells, it means you are being very, very careful with what you say and what you do. You are afraid of causing a problem or making someone angry.
The image is perfect. Imagine you are in a kitchen and the entire floor is covered in real, raw eggshells. You have to walk so slowly, so carefully, and so lightly. If you make one wrong move, crunch, you break them. That is the feeling. It's a feeling of high tension and stress.
Exactly. You often use it to describe a tense family situation. For example, if your parents are having a small argument and are in a bad mood, you might say to your sibling, "Mom and Dad are upset today. We need to be quiet. We have to walk on eggshells."
That's a perfect family example. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells when I visit my grandmother. I love her very much, but she is very traditional and has very strong opinions about everything. I have to be so careful about what I say. I can't talk about my new tattoo, or my opinions on modern music, or my plans to travel alone. I feel like if I say the wrong thing, she will get very upset and give me a long lecture. So I am always walking on eggshells around her. I only talk about safe topics, like the weather.
That sounds stressful. It also happens at work all the time. If your boss is in a very bad mood because the company is losing money, everyone in the office is quiet and careful. Everyone is walking on eggshells, trying not to be the person who makes the boss even angrier. It's that feeling of tension where you feel like you have to be perfect and not make any mistakes.
And on that very careful note, I think we have covered a lot of ground today. We have talked about so many useful phrases. We really hope that learning these phrases in so much detail makes all of our listeners feel more confident and more prepared for any social situation they might face. The good, the bad, and the awkward.
Thank you all so much for spending this very long time with us here at the N Podcast English Hub. Your dedication to learning English is truly amazing, and we are so happy to be a small part of your journey. Keep listening, keep practicing, and please remember that making mistakes, putting your foot in your mouth, and feeling like a fish out of water is all a normal part of learning and a normal part of life. Don't be afraid of it.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into real, everyday English. Bye for now.